Okay. What was that?
Okay. I think it was the garbage pail hitting the
okay.
table.
Someone screaming. It was a
oven. It was the oven.
Okay. Oh, God. All right. So, time for a little introduction here. Basically, WorseDoughnut is over here, all the way from New York. We are currently in Seattle, and we thought it'd be a fun time just to kind of hang out and just reminisce about early days of Smash modding and do kind of a retrospect over just how we got to come to know each other, how we started to do Smash modding, and you guys sent us some questions, so we'll be answering those.
Yeah, that's the plan.
We'll see what happens.
Really interested to see how this goes.
Earlier, Worse managed to almost blow up my oven, so...
You have no proof of that, and it totally doesn't make a terrifying buzzing noise.
And spark, and the entire thing lit up, and we thought it was going to explode. But we're not going to worry about that.
Now we're here.
Yes. Anyways, so the first question we got is... well, really, okay, so the first one isn't by a particular person, but we just want to kind of explain how we kind of got into Smash in the beginning, because we have two kind of very different stories about how we got started playing Smash and then got into the competitive scene. So would you like to start, and then I can just say what mine
are? I owned Melee growing up. I had a GameCube, but of course I didn't play it competitively. I played it very much like I played Shrek Super Slam and SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. Like, me and my friends would just screw around and do garbage in it.
Now, was Melee still a new game at this time, or was it, like, later?
It was around when Pikmin 2 and Thousand Year Door came out.
Oh, man. No.
That's about when I got the GameCube.
Nice.
And it wasn't until... Well, then I got Brawl when that came out, too. Stayed up midnight, got Brawl. It's fantastic. I loved it, because I was, like, 10 or whatever when that came out. Or 11, I think. It was 07, right?
It was 08.
Oh, wait. The Wii was 07, yeah.
Yeah. The Wii was 06, actually.
I actually also stayed up until 4 a.m. to get my Wii in the Nintendo store.
Wow.
It was awesome.
4 a.m.
In Manhattan. It's freezing. It's February. It's when they restocked. But for Brawl, again, didn't play competitively. Didn't know that existed. Nunchuck, Wii remotes, classic controllers, the whole 9 yards. I don't even
Competitive Brawl?
No.
That's a thing?
That's not a thing.
I think it maybe been a thing at some point.
No one does that anymore. I actually don't even think I knew you could plug in a GameCube controller into Brawl. I think that's how bad it was. Because I bought extra classic controllers to play Brawl with my friends. Yeah. It wasn't until I was working as a lifeguard in my hometown, and in the back of the break room, we had a CRT with Melee and Strikers. And we all just did the same thing that I did growing up. We all played awful. The best guy in our group, his name was Kevin. And Kevin played Falco. And he was the best of us. But he wasn't competitive good. He was just, like, Smash good, like the best of the button mashers. I played Marth because I liked Marth. I tried to play Mario at one point because I played him in 64.
Got it.
Because we also had a 64 the year before, but I was awful. So it wasn't until this one guy from the supervisor's office actually found us playing Smash and was like, "Oh, I play Smash." I'm like, "Yeah, play with us." And his name was Julian. And Julian was a monster. He was definitely not like God top tier competitive, but even like the most basic competitive, wipes the floor with casual players.
Yeah.
And he played Sheik.
Oh.
So it was a lot of forward airs off stage murdering us and needles during recovery, and it was brutal. And it wasn't until I heard him teaching Kevin how to up tilt, which none of us knew tilts existed, mind you. It wasn't until that moment that I realized, wow, there's stuff you can actually do in Melee that's cool. And I Googled Melee, I think. I barely remember what got me to look for it on YouTube, but I found it, and I found Mango playing, and then I found like Hungrybox, I found all the super competitive people, and then somewhere down the line I found like drama talk about what Project M and how it's not Melee, and all the Melee people don't like it. And I was like, I don't know what that is. Goodbye. And I went back and kept watching like Mango stream and everything. And I learned like nothing because I was awful. But I learned like the very bare bones, like L canceling, stuff that was, I think at that point I learned Z could also attack in the air. I didn't know that. And wow, Marth's Snare on the second hit is good if you can get it. Like, I had no clue, and then that was like my very first toe dipped into any kind of real understanding of Smash. And then at some point I mentioned to Julian, hey, but have you ever heard of Project M? And he's like, yeah, it's cool, but it's not really the same thing. I was like, oh, I guess that's it. And then about a year and a half later, I'm in college, and I just started playing it. Like, I had Dolphin. I didn't have a working GameCube. Even now, my GameCube, I don't have the video cable for it, which I'm upset about. Or the power cable. I don't know where any of the cables are. But it's just sitting there. But I was playing on Dolphin, and I guess in looking for Melee, when it came to Dolphin, I found PM, because it was generally still Dolphin at that time, along with Wii. And I wound up playing a bunch of vanilla, and it was 3.02. And I was okay with Roy, so I stuck with Roy. But I had no understanding of the significance of Project M. I had no clue that Roy and Mewtwo were new. I had no idea the history that went with that development, or what it was for, or who was in it. I just went, wow, this is neat. And me and my friends played it on my laptop. I think I tried to play Charizard, and I didn't even have an adapter. I played with mouse and keyboard, or just keyboard at the time, trying to play Charizard, and it was awful.
Well, what do your friends play with if you use the keyboard?
PlayStation controller.
Oh, okay.
And I think an Xbox wired controller. Like, I tried with the wired controller, but I didn't like it. It didn't feel like a Nintendo game, because I hate the joysticks that are different, you know? So I was like, I'll just completely ruin my experience and play on keyboard instead. And it's a laptop keyboard, too, so it's like the awful little chiclet keys, and it was just really unfortunate. And it wasn't until, I think it was Psycho Ghost's build. I was on the subreddit, and I saw Psycho Ghost had a build, and I'm like, that's cool. Custom stuff. Like, I had no clue you could do that.
Yeah.
And it was an ISO, because of course it was before 3.6B. And no, before that was the 3.5 trailer that hyped me to death. And it got all of my friends to play PM with me, totally ignoring Smash 4 when it first came out. To the point of, like, why would we ever go back and play this awful game when we've got Project M right here? And I dug into Psycho Ghost's build, and I liked stuff, and I hated stuff, but it made me realize I can do that. Like, wow, you can just swap files, and it works, to an extent. And then I don't think I actually found KCMM on my own. I think I found it through, like, Googling. Like, I just Googled, like, something I wanted in Smash, and it happened to be the only link, because it's still the only link. And then I went ahead and basically made PMVE. I made this awful garbage build.
Wait, you did?
With all of these stupid stages and all the stupid costumes we could find on the vault, because me and my friends wanted them. Like, oh, snap, Big Daddy over Bowser. Like,
right.
That's so cool. When it's not, you know? Like, Agumon over Charizard, and the little bug Digimon over Ivysaur. Like, all this horrible stuff. And I had no idea what the difference was between a pack and a PCS, but I knew if I only had one, for some reason multiplayer would crash. So it got to a point where I kind of learned through fire what needed to go into a build for it to work.
Yep.
And how to replace stocks and CSPs and whatnot with Brawl Manager, with the character manager. And even then it didn't work for some, for the obvious reasons of, like, you know, like Roy's 3 and 2 were switched and they're backwards, even though they're forwards in the name, and the blue CSP is on the green model. And I think it was honestly just a 3.5 or 3.6B bug, or a bug in Brawl Manager, because it was horrible. And then I found a Reddit post about what was a mega build. And I tried it, and it was kind of bad. Stuff was broken. Everything was awful. The characters crashed. And I found some real important bugs, and I screenshotted them and sent them to the guy that uploaded it. And he was like, oh, cool, thanks. Well, get around to finishing that. But I could only contact him in one of two places. One was on Reddit, and the other was on the ladder. He was in the ladder chat. And that was it. I never saw him anywhere else. I wound up playing doubles with him in the ladder chat, And he laughed at me because I was so bad. And I was on his team, so he lost because of me every time. And then it wasn't until probably months later that I saw Project M XP version 1.4. I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. And I downloaded it, and it was enormous, and I got it working, and I played stuff, and there was broken stuff. And I was like, huh, man, there's broken stuff. But this stage is broken. That kind of sucks. It was the stupid Pokemon one from Smash 4. That DSX-8 or Edgar, whatever his name is, imported.
Yeah.
The one with the swords and the fire. Yeah. Whatever that is. It was that one. And of course, I forget which one of the two Smash 4 import guys it was. Every stage he imports, he keeps FD collisions on them for Wi-Fi compatibility.
Oh.
Yeah, don't get me started. And I realized, wow, the walls...
I remember that you could go through the walls on the bottom. I remember that.
The walls don't line up. This sucks. I want to play on the right one. So at this point, I had a Discord, I think because Hyperlink posted Discord as a way to contact them. Mm-hmm. And it was at that point that I realized he was the same person that laughed at me in doubles.
Got it.
The same person that sent the other build.
Got it. And you reported the bugs to earlier. It's all hyperlinked.
Exactly.
Got it.
So I sent the bugs to him on Discord, and he's like, oh, cool, thanks. And then I was kind of going like, well, I feel bad. And I was like, is there any way I can fix these? Like, is it a simple thing? And he's like, oh, yeah, totally. I'll get you in contact with the guy that does our stages, and he'll totally teach you how to do that, because we'd love more help in fixing all these broken stages that we're trying to add to this 700 stage build. I was like, oh, cool. And then, now I don't want to bleed too much into a different question.
You kind of are a little bit, that's right.
But then it turned into Super Cool 101, teaching me how to edit collisions. And then I was upset. Well, no, I'll leave this one for what was your first real edit.
Okay.
But that was pretty much my intro.
Okay.
And then from there, I was like, I guess, can I help you guys all the time? He's like, sure, I'll add you to this dev server and give you like the stage role, and you can be all cool with us.
And was that like, your first Discord experience? Or?
That was the only reason I downloaded Discord.
Okay, got it.
Was to do XP because I had no idea what it was. I still used Skype for some Minecraft group I was a part of, and I didn't use anything else because I didn't talk to people that I didn't exclusively play other games with.
Right. Wow, that's really interesting. So, what was it like? You got into Smash, like competitive Smash, and then went almost immediately to Project M, and then
as soon as I realized competitive Melee was like pretty much saturated, I guess my attention turned to what the other Google results were giving me, which was Project M.
Got it.
Because I never was disillusioned enough to think, oh, I'll do competitive Melee. Like, I had the purple 2-port Mayflash, I had Old Dolphin with no direct input support. You know, like, it was the most laggiest, worst experience I could do, and I was like, this is just not going to pan out. But hey, guess what people were doing all over there, and it's new and cool. It's called Project M, and it's awesome.
That's awesome. That's great. Okay, so my origin story of Smash is kind of different. Really young, my brother and I, we went to a friend's house, and he had Smash 64 had just come out, and we tried it, and we were just like, this is so fun. Like, we never played anything like it before. Like, we knew a lot of the characters, like, who's Samus? Like, we didn't know who Samus was, we didn't know who Captain Falcon was, we didn't know who some of the characters were, but we're like, wow. And I remember my friend looked at me, and he's like, and he pointed at Samus, and he's like, Is that a boy or a girl? And I remember
he knew.
And I remember thinking, now I would assume this is a guy, but why would he ask me this question? I was like, my little kid brain was on. I think, how old was I at this time? I'd be 7 years old, 8 years old, something like that.
Wow.
And I figured that out. I was like, that's a girl. He's like, and he looked really disappointed. But I silently thought to myself, I had no idea. Anyway, that was like my first initial experience with Smash, and then it was just, I don't know, there was something very fun about it, just all the characters that we knew. And then soon thereafter, we actually got our own N64, and we got Smash 64. And every Sunday after church,
oh gosh,
we'd invite 2 friends over, and we'd play Smash 64 like the entire rest of the day. And it was definitely one of those things where like you play with your friends and you always beat them, so you're convinced you're the best like Smash player ever.
I beat my friends all the time.
Exactly.
I'm the best player
and that's
in
like
the
your
world.
standard, like, well, you know, the people in my neighborhood aren't as good as I am, I must be pretty good. So, you know, I completely inflated my own ego about how good I was at this game, like Smash 64 game. But then finally we got a GameCube, like pretty late, like 2004, 2005. But like Melee was always the game that we wanted, but we like never had. Like I remember hearing when Melee was coming out, and like you could play as 2 players at once, like with Ice Climbers, and like you could transform into a boy as Zelda, which is what our friend said, and all this stuff. And like I remember seeing the cinematic trailer in GameStop and being like, "What is this? Why does this look so realistic? And why is this the best sequel to a game I've ever seen?"
So realistic.
It did at the time. It was like this looks straight up realistic. And it just excited my brother and I so much. We played it every chance we could. Our friends that had it, we play it. That's all we wanted to do was play Melee. Because it was just this refined, beautiful version of this game we already loved. So finally we owned it. We played the hell out of it. We played it so much. We played it with our friends. We played it by ourselves. We played it with each other. And again, same thing where, you know, you just think you're good. I played Mario in 64 and Kirby in 64. And then in Melee, I played Sheik and Mewtwo, which is really weird.
That is weird.
Yeah. I love Sheik, like, from the beginning. Like, she just felt natural to me to play, even when I played casually. And then the midnight release for Brawl came out, and I also went to that in my local GameStop. And we played through Subspace Emissary. It was great. We loved the cutscenes. We loved all the new content, the new characters, and all that. Awesome. And then, fast forward from there, I heard about this thing called Balanced Brawl. And I thought, wait a second, I read it, and the first thing I read was there was no tripping. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. So I downloaded Balanced Brawl, and I was like, how does this work? You put it on an SD card, and then you, like, go to custom stage loader, and then it, like, works? I'm like, what? So I tried it, and it worked. I was like, Donnie, check this out. Like, no one's tripping. Like, I'm dashing, and this, like, up B is different. And, like, just the fact that, like, someone, like, made it more balanced. I didn't even question any things they changed. I was just like,
this is amazing.
This seems right. Like, this is cool. And then we left in that SD card. And every time we went to Brawl after that, we hit start on the CSS and the game would crash. And the game would freeze. And for the longest time, we thought, because our Wii was one of the old ones, we got it like really soon afterwards, and some of the older Wiis had trouble running Brawl because of the dual layer. So we had to send it to Nintendo to get it fixed. So we thought it was a residual thing of that. But it turns out it was just the SD card being in the way. So what we ended up doing was we were so paranoid about losing our data that we like took photographs of our old like records and stuff because we wanted to save it and preserve it because we thought we'd never like save this again. And then one day we ejected the SD card and then it worked. We're like, so then I was like, modding is stupid. It almost broke one of our favorite games because we loved Brawl at the time. But then a bit later, I'm trying to remember. Then I discovered competitive Melee, like a little bit after that, because I was like, balance, like what's all this about? And I did some research. And I found out that there were Melee tournaments like nearby in my area. So I went to one. I was like, this is cool. Like, I'm really good at Melee. Like, you know, I'm good with Sheik. Like, I'm going to play.
I beat all my friends.
Yeah, exactly. I beat all my friends. Like, I must be good. And so I went to this local tournament at Super Smash Games. That's the name of it. You actually went there last time you were here.
Oh, the one with all the stuff in
the retro
cages.
Games and all that. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. And there was like a $5 entrance fee or something, and I was like, "That's cool." And then they gave you this little name tag to put on your controller. I'm like, "Okay," and it's actually still on my controller. I never took it off since because it was just such a cool experience. And I saw this guy who played Falcon. And I was like, what is he doing? Like, he's flying around the stage and, like, he keeps throwing the knee out way faster than I think you could. Like, and what's he doing? Like, jumping really high backwards? And, like, what's all this weird stuff he's doing? And I fought him and I just got destroyed. And the whole time I was playing, I was like, I just didn't know what to say. And I was like, oh, yeah, you should probably, you should roll less. And, like, he was giving me advice as we were playing and stuff. But it's like, he respected me enough to be like, wow, he doesn't know what he's doing, but like, he clearly knows the game, he just doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I just, I got destroyed. Like, I got destroyed immediately. But I was like, this is cool. Like, look at all these people doing cool stuff. And someone won money at the end. And it was just, I had fun watching it. So at that point, I was hooked. I was like, so this game Melee that I was obsessed about for years, it's awesome. It kind of revisited Brawl, and I was like, so no one's playing Brawl like this, I guess. And then I found out about Project M, and at that point, I think it was 2.4 was the latest version of Project M at this point. I think it was 2013, 2014, something like that. And like they were teasing Meta Knight, or Meta Knight just came out or something. I was like, well, I guess not all the characters are in, but this is awesome. And I'd bring it to college. I was in college at the time, and I played it with some friends. And I went to tournament mode, and they're like, "Oh, Yoshi's not on the list." I'm like, that's what you care about? This amazing mod that read balances all the characters, and you're sad that Yoshi's not in it?
Wait, 2.4 didn't just jump to rotation?
No.
Wow.
Tournament mode worked at some point with Project M, because
I believe it. Yeah.
I used to think that that's how you did tournaments.
Gotcha.
Set up tournament mode.
That's all the pros do. They click tournament mode.
But then, and then before that, I'm going to rewind a little bit. My freshman year of college, there was a brawl tournament, like a small brawl tournament at my college. And I entered as Zero-Suit. Zero-Suit was my main at the time. And I just wiped the floor with everybody in my college. And all the students were like, who's this kid or whatever. And then I got Project M in. And then I played more Melee. And I just kept beating people. And I got better and better. But then I was more interested in Project M. I was like, this is such a cool achievement. And then at some point, the 3.0 trailer came out. And like our entire dorm floor was just super excited about this thing. It was probably the most hyped trailer we'd ever seen.
That is one of the best ones.
We had the Mewtwo one and the Roy one, and our minds were already blown. And then we got this 3.0 one. We're like, oh my gosh, when's this coming out? And I remember I had friends that like didn't go to their classes the next day because they stayed up all night. And literally the PMDT had said like, do not stay up all night. Like, we're not releasing this at midnight. It's probably going to be like really late the day. Yep. And, my friends did it anyways. And I didn't. But anyway, and just playing it and being like, this is so cool. And then 3.02 came out and we're like, okay, so they're making these fixes, these optimizations. And so I just started opening the SD card files. And I was like, what's in this thing? And I opened the sound one. I'm like, wait a second, what's this? And there was this like complete song list text document. And it listed all the ones that they were replaced. And it says, if you discover this, you must be the curious sort. Enjoy Project M. And at that point, I was like, people knew that they were going to look through these files and try to figure it out. So at that point, I was like, okay, well, I mean, music, like that's. And so I found out about that music, that custom Brawl music website. And so I started replacing files. And it was started really with small things. And then I downloaded Brawlbox and I replaced textures and stuff. And then I found Brawl Vault. And then I started doing kind of what you did, where like I started like just finding other content, and my friends like Smash 3 had like just come out or something, and so they used Smash 3 on their builds. And
really, Smash 3 is that old?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit older than that too. But anyway, they were like starting the project and like all this stuff. And then my friends were like, "How do you change like the color of the menu?" So like my friend in college wrote like this guide on like how to like change the color of the menus that I still reference when I need to change this color. So shout out to Kyle, by the way, for that. But and I was like, this is so neat. So then I'm like, I'm gonna make a build because like that just sounds super fun. And I put like a bunch of music in it that I like symphonic metal and stuff that doesn't fit Smash at all, right? But it was just a novelty. Like you could put whatever song you wanted.
Yeah, it's the best
part. They had terrible looping parts. That didn't matter. Like Camelot was playing in the background of a Smash game. That was cool. And then then quickly realizing, oh man, half these Brawl Vault entries are for Brawl and not PM, so it breaks or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then, so I made my own custom build, and I was like, and so my friends were playing it like, wow, this is really cool, and they started doing it. I was like, what if I like shared it? And around this time, like rumors of Smash 4 were coming out, and this is kind of bleeding into some of the other questions, but so maybe I'll stop it pretty soon here. But I was like, I have this blog called, I'm gonna save it.
All right.
So why did you start modding Smash by some guy? So we kind of already talked about that a little bit.
It seems like for both of us, it was kind of just because we found out we could.
It was curiosity mainly. And then in terms of share, at least for me, the reason why I started modding content to share was because this idea that people would download it, people would use it. Like that to me was always the biggest motivator, is that if I like make something, it's not just for myself. It's like other people will enjoy this. And that
it took me a very long time to even consider uploading anything I edited, because 90% of what I was editing was for XP.
Yeah.
So it was all just a lot of like minor fixes. Like, my name got added to the credits for each of those stages because I technically did fix them, but nothing I made was ever really mine. for a while.
Right. But your motivation was just something was broken and you wanted to help fix it.
Yeah, the motivation was being part of XP. It was like, wow, Super and Hyper and Fraud think my stuff is cool. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
So
you had a team. You had a team.
I had like that kind of co-motivation.
Yeah, so that makes sense. What are your earliest pieces of work, and do you think they stand well today, HandheldGamer? In my case, absolutely not. Not at all. Like.
What was your earliest?
Well, I guess what do you mean by earliest pieces of work?
I imagine he means earliest that you put your name on and gave out and said, I made this.
Gosh.
Not just among friends.
Then I'm going to say, I think one of the earliest things I did was, other than like just texture replacement, that doesn't really count. Because I would stylize menus and stuff, but that doesn't really count.
Does it not? I think that counts.
Well, then it's way too hard to know what my very first thing is. But
okay, you're right. If I'm not going to count collision edits,
yeah, exactly.
I guess you can't count
right. Texture edits. Right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first thing I did that was mine, it was so dumb, was Bayonetta 2 was coming out, and I wanted to make a Bayonetta stage. Because I just thought it would be cool.
Go on.
So I found, there's like this, I needed like a hell background. Something like in Purgatorio or Inferno. Yeah, Inferno, that's what it was.
From the Bayonetta games?
From Bayonetta games, yes. Because there was already a Bayonetta model on Brawl Vault, rigged over Zero Suit Samus. And so what I did was I kind of figured out kind of how like character models work, and you could like set a loop and everything. So there was like this really weird stage already on Brawl Vault that used like the Castle Siege Rock, which Super's gonna hate me for this.
Castle Siege Rock.
But that was like eye candy because like obviously for those of you who don't know, like in Castle Siege it like rotates. And there's one where like there's this rock that teeters and there's like this fiery background, but it only gets shown like for a minute at a time or whatever.
It's not a bad spot. It's just awfully overused.
It's completely overused. Yeah, that's why it's a meme. But anyway, I found that, and there's this other stage that someone had made where they had like made this demon big Diddy Kong with like 3 arms or something, and I didn't know, but all I knew is that it had the setting I wanted, and it had a character with a looping animation, and I'm like, I'm going to use this as a template for reference. So I used like a lot of the fiery parts of it, but then I like swapped some stuff out. And then I imported the Zero Suit Samus model, but used Bayonetta's model. And then I used one of her idle animations. And then I rotated her model. So Bayonetta was basically just standing there, which is kind of weird.
In idle, yeah.
Yeah, but it's an idle pose, so she wasn't just like completely still.
Yeah, it was the idle supplements,
right?
Yep.
And I'm like, this stage works. I didn't know anything about collisions. I didn't know anything about like really much of importing or exporting. And I can tell you definitely that does not stand today. It is cringy. It is awful. It is awkward. It's really nothing at all. But it was my first stage, and that it was really fun at the time. And then I made that Splatoon stage, which is another story, just awful stuff. But
the one over Big Rig?
Yeah, the one over the Big Shell stage.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. But what was cool was I figured out how to replace the sky from the doom and gloom to like the bright one. And I replaced the water from Mute City, and then I put those awful like textures on it that was supposed to be ink.
I remember.
But my favorite part though is I figured out how to use one of the Delfino seagulls and animate it so it kind of flew in the background. I was so proud of that.
That is satisfying.
I was like, this is a perfect touch on this stage. And then I made the trailer for it, and that's a whole other topic that we can talk about. So what about you? What would you consider your earliest piece of work, and does it stand today?
So, technically, my earliest real, edit that wasn't just in Brawlbox was I was annoyed because I'd already played Smash 4, and I saw that Omega Duck Hunt doesn't have the tree in the background in Smash 4. It's not there. Whereas the regular does. Because it's already a rectangle stage, so the only thing they could do was remove the platforms.
Right.
And in XP, the tree was still there, but the collisions were gone. And I was like, Super, this is almost kind of lazy. How do you get rid of the tree? He's like, oh boy. You get rid of the tree by downloading this thing called 3DS Max. And then you have to delete the faces and the vertexes. And then he walked me through this whole thing over Discord voice. So he was like the first person I talked to. And he was originally just going to show me how to do it, and then it was both of us doing it, and me eventually breaking it and him fixing it. But that was when I went, wow, you can really make stuff in this. I could export that thing I made from Max, and it works in Brawl, or in PM. And I was like, well, that means I wonder what else you can make in Max that works in PM. But Max was too complicated.
Yeah.
It was a landmine of misinformation that I tried to glean from Super, because Super doesn't know how to use Max.
Right.
And no offense, but he still frankly doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
He knows it to the extent that you can delete faces and verts and go back. But as far as the creation tools, it's alien to him. And so I kind of shut that away as like, well, that's neat, but I'm never going to really do that. I don't know how to make stuff. So instead, we were editing the giant, enormous SSE Plains stage. Okay. The one with like the big stone ruins and the giant floating island with the tree on top and the big walls on both sides.
The one that I used for the LXP trailer intro.
Yes, the one you used for the scrolling background.
It's perfect for that.
It is perfect for that, except for that one tree that's like in the wrong place and you can see the black box.
So people wouldn't see that.
And we were fixing collisions probably, because that's all we ever had to really fix in that awful pile of stages. And I noticed the one spot that had the ladder and the hole in the ground. I was like, wow. And it had like one platform, I think, above it. I was like, wow, that looks cool. Like, what if it had like Battlefield platforms? And what if it was like a hole in the middle and had like ledges on the side and none of that other stuff was there? Like, that'd be a cool little wacky stage that had like wide and then wide platforms and then like a pit you could spike people down the middle. And Super was like, go for it. That sounds awesome. I would play on that. And I'm like, great. So I went ahead, I deleted all of the collisions, and then I remapped it all by hand. Not flat, mind you. It's intentionally bumpy, which is awful. And then there was the issue of duplicating the platforms. And duplicating platforms now is very easy. Then, had no idea. Super was like, all right, maybe you go in and you delete everything except the platforms in Max, and then you just move the platforms where you want. And I was like, well, that sounds like a great idea. It kind of worked, but the platforms I wanted to move were like way farther left in the stage, where they were on like that track that like spun them around.
Yeah.
And as I imported them back in from Max, obviously they weren't rigged to anything, so they were just importing back at their vertex coordinates, which was way over there. And he's like, huh, that's weird. Obviously neither of us knew the reason for the problem. It was only until I realized you could attach models to bones and then move the bone. So I attached each platform to these bones that were reserved for little plants around the background, like in like the way background. And I was like, well, if I put it on there and then I spend about an hour randomly rotating and scaling and moving this bone to work correctly, it'll get in the right spot. And it took forever. To this day, that stage, which is still my first upload on Brawl Vault, you can open it up and find, like miles away from both side platforms, 2 flowers just floating upside down and sideways, like obviously there. Because I didn't realize, like, you could call that or delete the models or just make a new bone. Like, I had no idea. And I wound up trying to record footage for it myself, but I couldn't. And I still, to this day, am upset that I didn't delete the side stuff. Like, off to the left, nothing's that close because it was part of the cliff. But to the right, it had this almost like horseshoe hole cut out. And the other thing was still right there. And I wanted to just vertex it away or delete the other models. But when I tried to delete everything except the main thing, I must have done something wrong because it would crash every single time.
Oh.
Which was unfortunate. So instead, I just left it there and tightened the camera. So if you go far enough off stage with like Kirby or Jigs, you can clip through the model. But
got it.
Other than that, it was, and still is, I'd say it holds up. I'd say if that wound up in a build, it's still an LXP. If that wound up in a build, I would still be proud because it's not a bad idea. It was just my brain wasn't smart enough to really make it as cool as it could have been. And it really got me into the idea that you can change anything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is fair game.
Yeah.
I can make any stage into literally anything else. I made this awful story mode stage into this really cool looking multiplayer stage that's vaguely competitive.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
I was able to record it with Fox and Falco CPUs fighting each other at level 9. And to this day, that's still how I do every trailer because I'm awful. I don't want to show off my awful on video.
Right.
I'll let the CPUs fight because they'll at least, jump around the whole stage at least a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would consider my earliest work still holds up.
That's great.
Maybe not to my current standards.
Yeah.
But to relatively among brawl modding, I think it's higher than the average brawl stage.
Oh, definitely. I mean, using 3ds Max at all on your first thing.
Yeah, I'm still amazed that it's super new enough to get me interested in it because it could have been, oh no, this is way too complicated. Wow, I'm never going to touch this again, which is pretty much what he said.
Right.
But when I looked at it, I was just like, wow, that's amazing that this arbitrarily expensive tool that they use in like the modeling development world for reality, not just for stupid mods. We can use that cool tool for the dumbest stuff in the world.
Yeah.
And it still sticks with me. I'll be modeling stuff now and be like, man, I'm totally underutilizing the real productive power of this piece of software. It's ridiculous.
Okay. The next question is by Arique, and it's why Legacy? So this kind of continues off from what I was saying earlier about the origin story of my first build. And the name Legacy, like, there's... Okay, so Smash 4 rumors had come out. Like, the trailer just came out at E3 or whenever it was. And at that point, my brother and I were like, okay, we're getting a Wii U. Like, Smash 4 looks awesome. Like,
it was decided.
Yeah, it was decided at that point. And I was just kind of exploring Tumblr at the time because I figured out, like, how powerful reblogging was. And I just kept finding out how cool the tool was itself. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start, like, a Smash 4, like, rumors blog. Like,
oh, gosh.
And, and then, before that, I had a really crappy website called Smash Brothers Eclipse that no one knows about. And it was just, like, it was, like, a Oh, it's not up anymore. You can't find it. Because it was on Brave Host, or BraveNet.
Oh, gosh.
You know about BraveNet?
I've heard of it.
It was ancient and antiquated and terrible. And at some point...
It's like Angel Fire old. Like, that's
Yeah. And so they just took down all the free accounts at some point. So I lost it all. Although I think I downloaded like it somewhere. Anyway, it might still exist.
Well, now you have to search for it.
Maybe, we'll see. But it had really crappy like guides on how to use people in Melee because from an older website that I made that I imported, and then it had like brawl stuff that I recycled from the dojo. It was just a dumb website. But anyway, I'm like, okay, I don't want to call it Smash Brothers Eclipse. I want a different name. I'm like, well, what's like the thing about Smash that really like resonates with me? It's like it's legacy, right? Like the fact that it has all these franchises and all these characters. I'm like, so that's a cool name. Like I'll just call this blog Smash Brothers Legacy because I don't want to use Smash Brothers Eclipse anymore. And the reason why it was Smash Brothers Eclipse was because smashbrothers.bravehost.com was the only option. To Smash Bros was taken, like all the other options were taken, but Smash Brothers was not. So that's why there's not like Super Smash Brothers in the title.
Gotcha.
And Smash Bros. And then another thing was it's not a full title, so it didn't sound like a game because I didn't want it to sound like a game.
Gotcha.
Smash Bros. Legacy is like a group or a thing or a journal.
It seems more like a heading than a title.
Yeah, Super Smash Bros. Legacy. You expect it to be a game. So anyway. So I just started writing, and I did like analysis of like all Mario. I was like, well, this seems like it's from Brawl. This seems like it's a little stronger. Just my
analysis of the Smash 4 stuff.
Yeah, gotcha. Exactly. I just did a lot of written stuff. It was all original content in the beginning. It was all just stuff I written, or it was screenshots I did, or like renders and comparisons. Like I did like a model 64 versus Mania versus Brawl, and some of them got like really like they went viral on Tumblr. Like they got thousands of reblogs sometimes, which was awesome. Another really dumb thing I did was like whenever Nintendo would release a new Smash 4 render, they had some 4K massive version of it. So on Tumblr, what I would do is I would split it up into 10 different images.
Oh, you do that stupid thing.
It was before anyone else had done it. and I just thought of it one day. And so like that got especially viral shares. And so at some point I had like 5,000 followers on Tumblr. And then at some point I'm like, you know what? Like, I can't keep making all this content. I'm just gonna start reblogging stuff. And I asked, I'll never forget this. This is where another meme comes in. I said, how do you guys feel about me just like sharing content from other Smash blogs? And one person responded and said, I don't care what it is as long as you're bringing Smash to my dash. So then I like that so much. I'm like, I'm changing the description to we bring Smash or dash or whatever it was. Because I loved it. I thought it was funny. Anyway, so I started like queuing a bunch of posts so they'd post automatically twice a day, and it just kept growing. Like, I'd just be doing nothing, and the blog would just keep growing. Anyway, so at this point, back to this Project M stuff, I'm like, well, clearly I have to call this build Super Smash Bros. Legacy, because it's already like, you know, the thing that I started with. So I made this build, and I called it Demo Point 1, because luckily I had the foresight to know I knew nothing about modding, and I was really bad at it. But I still compiled a build. It was still a legit build.
So you had to preface it with, this isn't the final product.
Exactly, yeah. So I call it Demo Point 1. And then I don't think I shared it anywhere. It was just a thing I did for fun. And then we used like my college. And then I'm like, okay, now I want to make something like for other people. Because I saw like, you know, other people sharing their builds. I'm like, I want to share mine. So I did Point 2. And then I made a trailer for it. But my computer at the time sucked. Like, it had no ability to run Dolphin in a smooth frame rate. But my friend Jake, and he might be listening to this, so shout out to my friend Jake, he had a computer that was powerful enough to run Dolphin. Albeit not completely smoothly. If you watch the Point 2 trailer, you hear like this choppy, awful audio at some points. No. And it's because his Dolphin could barely run like full speed. So what he did was I forget what we used. Maybe we used Fraps? I don't remember. But we recorded a bunch of footage on this external hard drive that he had. Or maybe it was mine. And then we unplugged it and put it into my computer. And then, like, I used Cyberlink Power Director video program to edit it.
Wasn't it the one that, like, came with your capture card or whatever?
No. It was this, a long time ago, I found, like, the cheapest one I could that was fairly sophisticated, and I used it, and it worked. So anyway, and I just loved it. Like, I had so much fun making the trailer and, like, showing the skins I thought were so cool. Like, Smash 4 is about to come out. But I already had Smash 4 content in this build. Like, you know, that other people made, obviously. Yeah. But it had, you know, the Fierce Deity link, and it had, like, the Smash 4 Final Destination before it came out, and, you know, that like, DSXA had worked on all that. Anyway, and I just so much fun making the trailer, and then I released it, and I made this thread, and I'll never forget the very first Smash Board's response was, this looks great, it can get big, keep it up.
Is that still the legendary first comment on that thread?
On the Smashboard thread. If you go to the Legacy TE Smashboard thread, it's the first one on there. This can be big, keep it up. From 2014 or whatever.
That's amazing.
Yeah, which cracked me up. And then, I kind of, like, gave up. Because I'm like, you know what, like, this was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work. And just, like, to replace everything and, like, make sure everything worked, it's so exhausting. And then Project M is just going to release a new version and make this antiquated anyway, so I don't really want to, like, do any upkeep on it. So at 3.02, I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just leave this. And then, like, some time passed, and just the hype kept coming, and I was still in college or whatever. And I will never forget the 3.5 trailer. It did, like, the reverse date thing.
Oh, it's still my favorite.
November 14th is my birthday.
Oh, that's crazy.
So it stopped at my birthday, and I was like,
oh.
So it was, like, really special. I'll never forget that. And at this time, everyone had like their own custom builds, and we were trying all the stupid PSAs that were all brawl and all broken in PM. But it was the novelty of playing as, you know, Skull Kid or something like that. It was just too good to pass up. Anyway, so that's how the name Legacy happened. Another big question. So now the next question is, how did WorseDoughnut and I meet? So you should start because it starts with XP.
Yeah, it was after PM had shut down, and Hyper, being very paranoid about his anonymity, was concerned about anyone talking about anything having to do with PM, because we all thought Nintendo had hit them, and we were really concerned. So we had quite a lot of people in the server at that point. It was kind of like a dev server / come and chill and play netplay with us kind of deal. So the first thing he did was he deleted every invite. He locked it down, and he like just removed a bunch of people that weren't active anymore. And for a few days, it was me and Alex the Great who were sitting on the finished 1.5 PMXP build going, well, what do we do with this? And he's like, I don't care. If you're going to release it, make your own thread. I don't have anything to do with it. It's not my build anymore. You never heard of me. Delete me from all the credits. I'm done. And we're like, dude, just lay low. It's fine. Nothing's going to happen. You're overreacting. And Alex released the build. And...
Oh, I have to tell my story real fast, too. I just realized something. A month before the PM shutdown, I released Legacy 1.0 with PM 3.6.
Gotcha.
And at this point, I had made a new trailer, and I just loved it. And then SOJ, because the Project M Twitter account retweeted it. Like, my trailer, awesome. And said, this is great, keep it up. And I will never forget how excited and how, like, I was so pumped that they saw that and retweeted it.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, I like my mind, but little did I know, a month later, they'd be, like, shut down.
Yeah, right.
But I was like, okay, there is nothing stopping me at this point. Like, I want to keep making this build because Project M encouraged me to do it. They retweeted it on their thing, and I didn't know it was SOJ at the time. But later, he told me that it was him and everything. But yeah, so I just want to build that context too. So there was this very unsure time after they shut down, and lots of people bailed from the scene.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and I was like, I don't freaking care. And I saw this other build that posted at 1.5 and said, this is the last version. And I was like, PMXT, what's this? I'm like, well, I'm going to change my title to my Smash Sports to be proudly continuing development, just to piss them off.
I remember when it all went down and Hyper locked everything, and after the smoke cleared and we updated the build, Hyper made sure we said it's done, but we all went, don't worry, we're going to work on 2.0 in the secrets, in the shadows, because we'd already had a primitive Bex build in the works that had
that's right,
Goku and Sora and no offense to Hyper, but characters that me and Alex both went, yeah, we're just testing Bex configurations, and he went, no, those are great. If people like them, we'll put them in the build. I'm like, you don't understand. We cannot put Goku in this build.
Yeah, because Brawl X was already something for Brawl, but it was being worked on to fit with PM at the time.
And we had Sakura and Piotr in XP at that time.
Yeah. Helping,
which was great. Not exclusively for us, but it was helpful that as they were working on it, they could let us know specifically how stuff worked. So it was after... probably like a week or so after PM ended. Maybe not even a week. It was pretty short. Where Hyper came to his senses and went, people were scrambling. Not really the whole power vacuum kind of deal, but similar in the sense that there's a lot of people looking for somewhere to turn for modding. We completely shut out the PMCC originally because we didn't want to risk the legal...
Well, it wasn't PMCC yet, even. It was the other PMDT or whatever they call themselves.
Yeah, it was the new PMDT.
That's right, yeah.
New PMDT. Because we thought, well, if it was Nintendo, they're just going to shotgun them next and be done with it. And we're like, we're not even going to touch that with a 10 football. He wouldn't even join the server. He was like mortified of the thought of anyone noticing him.
Yeah.
So we started reaching out to other people, like a lot. Like it was, hey, do you know someone that mods? Talk to them and get them to join this thing. I actually sent a Reddit DM to Psycho Ghost.
Really?
And then he never responded.
Really?
He had probably no idea who I was.
Yeah.
Still has no idea who I am.
Yeah.
But it was amazing because we got Theta then. Mm-hmm. It was ridiculous because we're like, you're PMDT. Mm-hmm. And he was like, yeah, and like, I think it's fun. And why would I stop? Mm-hmm. And we got Bronze Greek God, and we got Silent Doom, but he wasn't really working. He was just there talking. That's when we got Ish. Mm-hmm. I think that's when we got Nano. That's when we got you. Yeah. And it was this, hey, this guy, I remember saying, yeah, we're adding this guy that doesn't really mod, but he's got like this brand, and it's really cool because he has all this like grandfathered in vanity URLs, and that's cool. And even though we're not really sure what we're going to do, it'd be cool to have him around because he seems to have pull. And we're all like, yeah, okay. And I was always annoyed at you originally because I was like, who does this guy think he is? I've never even heard of his stupid build. What the fuck is Legacy? I don't care about Legacy. This is dumb. I want my 700 stages. Like, I had no idea the significance of what that would result in, but it was very much vitriol in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, who does this guy think he is joining our build, talking like, oh yeah, I've got 5,000 followers on Tumblr. My YouTube account has all these things that you can't get anymore. Isn't that so cool?
Oh my gosh.
No, it's not cool. I don't care. Go away. You're not my real dad.
Oh my gosh.
And then it was...
Oh, that's so good.
And then it turned into this kind of... Once we realized Legacy was going to happen, or Legacy XP was going to happen, very much the... I don't want to get too much into it, but the camps formed. It was like... The friend group that exists now between us and our fellow modders pretty much started at that point.
Yeah.
Super hyper codes, fraud, me, you. I don't really know who else, but that's the only people I still remember. Pretty much the people in the AMA.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Minus fraud.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't count. That was like the A team. And then everyone else was kind of just on the team.
Well, it was kind of like that. So, like, this is how I remember it. So, I hear the PMDT shut down. And I was initially, I can't believe I'm about to admit this because it's so embarrassing. But my first thought was, oh my gosh, this is really sad. But then, like, right after that, I thought, I don't have to update, like, the version for the next build. Which is an awful thing. It's an awful thing to admit because, honestly, all the new stuff for 3.61 looked awesome, and I was ready. I was, like, on it. I was like, okay, my next version is going to have 3.61 immediately because I was all hyped from the Twitter stuff.
Right.
And at that point, when Project Ganondorf retweeted me, I'm like, if they care this much, like, I want to, like, apply for the PMDT. So I, like, messaged them, like, probably weeks before they shut down. And I'm sure some of them had already known they were going to shut down at that point.
Yep.
And so I'm sure they never even got my application. I think Piotr also applied around the same time.
I remember him saying that,
yeah. Anyway, because I was like, you know what? Like, they could use some more, just... I didn't know what their team was like to do social and to do videos, and now I know it's like SOJ basically.
One dude.
Yeah. And I was like, maybe they could use the help or whatever. So that's what I want to do for them, and so that's what I put down. But then I get this message on Reddit after the PMD shutdown from this guy named Codes, and he wrote this whole thing out about how he wanted to continue Project M's development.
Rip Codes.
Because he was afraid he was afraid that the new PMDT was like doing it the wrong way or something, and I thought it was a great idea that he wanted one definitive team so that we wouldn't split the community. And so his heart was in the right place. And I think, we were all a little confused on what to do because my thought was, oh yeah, let's continue where they left off. And obviously
it's like that XKCD comic with there's 14 competing standards. We need to make one standard that everyone will use. Next slide. There are 15 competing standards.
Yes. Oh no. That's exactly what it's like. But anyway, so then I joined Discord. Like, what is this? Like, I didn't know what Discord was. Oh no, I did. I signed in and realized I had this server parked that was just my username in case Vanity Worlds ever came out. And I wanted it set so in case like there was ever some Vanity World feature, it would like lock to the username. Right. Yeah. So I already had an account. And
how'd that work out for you?
Well, I like reached out to Codes. He like gave me Hyper's information. The Hyper invited me, and I joined. I'm like, who are all these people? Like, and I was talking to Fraud and a few other people in voice chat, and they're like, "Whoa, your voice is really cool." I was like, thanks.
Amazing.
And then they're like, so where's the rest of your team getting here? And I was like, what?
Rip.
I was like, it's just me. And they're like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, I mean, it's just like a little personal build. Like, it's nothing crazy. And it was just so eye-opening because I realized all this work I put in towards, like, making this, like, this brand paid off. Like,
people really thought it was
like
this
group. Build. Yeah, And, anyway, I had some people saying, like, oh, yeah, like, I play your build and stuff. I had some people like, who are you? Like, what's this? Like, I mean, like, anyway. And I got to meet some of the people in that. Like, these guys are really cool. Like, they know way more than I do about this stuff. I'm willing and eager to learn. But at the same time, I had, like, a really specific direction. I wanted to go visually. I'm like, I have these ideas and everything. And that's the other thing about 1.0 is I advertise it as being competitively viable because I noticed the biggest complaints I got from 0.2 was like, yeah, this like character like breaks when you use this move because it has the wrong bones. And then I was like, ooh, maybe I should make it competitively viable, which I didn't really know what that meant at the time.
So you made XP. Yeah.
No. 1.0. Legacy 1.0 was really like... TE was what I had in mind from the beginning.
Yeah, the only thing wrong with 1.0 was probably the costumes. You had a few costumes that were...
Well, I ignored the stage meta.
I lied. I did play 1.0 because I played on that stupid red CSS with Excitebike Falcon. That's the only memory I have of that red CSS.
There you go.
Awful font on the question mark for random that I still to this day don't understand why you picked that.
It's the perfect one.
It's the worst font.
It's the worst question mark.
You're the worst question mark.
Oh, no. It's the best. Anyway, so that's funny that you remember that, but what were we saying? Oh, yeah, XP. So then it was kind of like, okay, so you have me. No, like Project MXP was a weird name at that point because Project M had shut down, and we're like, well, let's make it. Remember
the debate for the name?
It was Smash XP, wasn't it?
Long, and I was a very strong proponent for Smash XP.
That's right. Me too.
It doesn't have. He doesn't play favorites.
Yeah.
I don't think. Because you were okay with the XP part because it was around expansion. It fit the theme.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you were like, but I've got all this branding.
Yeah.
And that was the big pull, was like, it'll get so much name recognition.
Yeah.
But man, I regret to this day leaving the original dev server when it really just like got locked down and it was done. Because I wish I could find that argument back and forth. Because I know it wasn't in voice. Of which name to use. Because some of those names were awful, and that's what spawned that stupid giant picture of the never-ending name that Hyperlink had on the dev spreadsheet.
We should share that. We should put that on the Twitter.
If we can find it, we should put that up. I'm sure Hyper still has it saved.
Oh yeah, I'm sure too.
The meme king.
It was just in 3D featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry. It was just this really long name, Legacy XP in 3D like. .gov it was just completely silly.
It was ridiculous, and it was the best. It was the best joke I think that was on that whole spreadsheet.
Yeah,
but it wound up I think going in the right direction, because as much cool as Smash XP is, I think the what could have been would have been too annoying with all the branding.
Yeah, it would have been a pain. Yeah,
because that was when you started the game is Smash XP, but we're Smash Bros. Legacy.
That's right.
Like, you wanted really something. You were like, wait, we're the team, and this is the team name, but the build name is different, and it's like not the same thing.
Yeah.
And eventually, we kind of folded in and went, let's just call it Legacy XP.
Yeah.
It's your thing and our thing, and you get to shorten it to something that still has all this amazing branding attached to it.
Because also, like, you have to remember, like, at that point, like, the Legacy stuff was also like a streaming service. I would go to local tournaments and I would stream tournaments. And so I started to get a following before I stopped doing it, because we do it pretty regularly. I went to Pacific Lutheran University. I went to Super Smash Games. Sometimes I went north, and I streamed some streams at I forgot the name of the venue. But anyway, and so I did that, and then I also did like tutorial videos on Melee. So like it was a thing already. And so
such as the ever famous How to Wave Dash the Easy Way.
Which, hey, it is the easy way to learn how to do it.
How many views does that have?
I don't know. Like 40,000 or 50,000 or something like that.
Think of all the people you've taught.
Well, you know what's funny is talking to Ishmael. He's like, yeah, I learned how to wave dash from your video. Like when he learned it was me. I was so blown away. I was like, are you serious? That's so awesome. Like I met these people that had watched this content that I had made.
On that topic, I remember when I posted that first trailer for my stage that I made on YouTube.
Yeah.
I didn't post it anywhere. I posted it in XP before we were XP. Mm-hmm. And I posted it nowhere else. And somehow through tags, Sub, Ish, Bringo, and someone else, I think Lone Devil, with 4 comments on it going, wow, that's cool. Hey, I wish there was something in the background. Wow, good job. Something else. And I was like, wow, thanks. These random people I'll never know commented on my video. And it wasn't until I went back like months later, and I looked at the comments again because I was just memeing on my own YouTube channel, and I looked at it and went, oh my god, that's them? And I was like, that's insane. Like,
really?
I never would have thought that the people I met there met. The people that I saw their names of and went, they think they like that. It's awful. Mm-hmm. And then realized they were the same people I was working with later.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing that happened is, of course, soon after I joined PMXP, like, the PMCC started forming a little bit after that. And then this whole odd situation where it's like, Project M Team shut down, but we're not trying to be the new PMT. We're just trying to finish it. And it was just a weird project, but it still brought a bunch of modders together, or just people interested in the project. So
there's quite a few people that are now in completely different projects that started almost exclusively from CC.
Dens for the Legacy TE team, who helps with like the Masquerade codes. Like, I remember him talking to me about Masquerade in the PMCC thing and explaining how it worked. And he was like working with Theta, and like Theta wanted to make his build using Masquerade, and like we all try to like work on it or something. I
think the somehow overarching feature of all of history with us is somehow Theta wanted his build to come out.
yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's a bunch of funny connections. Oh, yeah. That's the other thing, too, is for Legacy, like, 1.2 or something, or 1.1, Theta, because when I was releasing my builds, like, Theta reached out to me and be like, hey, I'll help you optimize all your costumes.
I remember you telling me that,
aren't you PMDT? Like, you're going to help me? It's like, yeah, I'm really obsessed with optimizing stuff, so I'll help you out. Like, awesome. Like, I barely understood what that was, but then I realized what he did, and he did, like, the whole cast. And I was like, all the custom stuff I had, he optimized. Anyway, so he'd always be giving me support. So seeing him around there was interesting. And seeing Nanobuds in there and trying to, like, because he probably felt like, he was torn from this team. So he probably wanted to still kind of be there, but he also kind of resented it. So seeing him kind of be there and be like, wow, what must he be feeling right now in PMCC?
Yeah, I remember him in that chat. I remember joining that chat and going, weird. Why are there DT members in here?
Yeah.
It didn't feel like they shouldn't, but almost like, why would they think
why would you put yourself through that?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
almost.
Right?
Anyway, all that to say, I met so many people there that, like, we work with now. And a lot of them ended up joining XP.
Yeah.
Before it was Legacy
Because it was
XP.
the one that didn't fall apart and die.
Exactly. And at this point, because basically what PMXP was stages. It didn't touch the costumes or the characters or the menus or anything else. It was just stages.
At the time, unfortunately, I don't know if you remember from the spreadsheet, the costumes tab on 1.5, the goal was, so for Mario, it'd be Mario, then Doc, then Paper Mario, then 8-bit Mario, and the goal was to have all these different costumes on one slot.
Yeah.
And that was actually the last time that was stable, quote unquote, was the first time I had played XP and reported some bugs and walked away and never talked to people again. But that page on the spreadsheet stayed there for so long, and I was always so annoyed because back when I first started, that was what I wanted. Because that was what I had made. I wanted the PMVE. I wanted the... Mario's cool, but I don't need 10 different colors of Mario. I want Mario
different
and then
kinds of
9
Mario.
other different Marios.
Do you remember his links? His link lineup? It was like...
Oh my god.
Ocarina of Time model link. It was like... It was Melee link. It was Brawl link. It was all these kinds of links. And I looked at that and I thought... That's not gonna work. Like, people aren't gonna like that. It'd be cool in the beginning, but anyway... So, I was convinced Legacy XP was going to be the wonderful, amazing costumes I had picked for my build, which are really bad in retrospect, plus all the stages. But then I realized a few things kind of going forward. I was releasing 1.3 at this point anyways, even though I was part of XP. And I was actually getting help. Psycho in particular kind of introduced me to this idea of, HD is actually really cool, and you can do all this stuff with HD textures and Dolphin. And I was also learning rendering because Theta was showing me how to render, and then Nanobuds helped me how to render and show me this stuff, and Kuro did too. And I was like, all these custom poses that come out from all these awesome people on renders, like, why isn't there, like, just a build that has custom poses for every character, and why aren't they in one pose for all the costumes? Why is that not a thing? And then I learned about rendering, then I learned about HD. I'm like, okay, my goal for 1.3 is make the first Project M build that is entirely HD CSS, and every character is in the same pose. I just want consistency. Because I started to do that with 1.2 when the leaks came out.
Oh, gosh.
And this is where it gets kind of weird, so I don't know if I'll go into it completely, but long story short, I wanted to use certain leaked assets because they were cool poses of characters. it wasn't even of leaked content. It was like Mario looks cool.
It was just the new renders, yeah.
And then I kind of would play around with Photoshop and fit the costumes I added to fit in the same pose, and I loved it. I loved the uniform look. I loved the new pose, and that's why 1.21 is out, and 1.2 is not out. Because 1.2 had the stuff in it that was leaked. And it was no joke. I released that thing, and this is when I knew I had a pull. Because when I released it, I had Warchamp, I had Strongbad, I had SOJ messaging me and saying, you need to remove this right now.
Oh, wow. So that was like right after, though.
It was like a month or so after they shut down. And, but I was like, excuse me, like, I don't mean to be offensive, but this isn't really leaked content. It's just like, poses and stuff of characters that were already in PM 3.6. Anyway, it wasn't really. Well,
you'll still find them doing that to the current builds that use the content. So
well, and to be fair, SOJ when he reached out to me, it wasn't take this down. It was I was like ranting about how angry I was about it. He's like, hey, let's talk about it because I feel bad. Mm. And then he told me like, oh yeah, I was the one that retweeted your account and everything. I make the trailers and all that. So anyway, all that to be said, I really have nothing bad to say. They're just doing what they need to do.
No, absolutely.
Fine. But I quickly learned what the boundaries were. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to make my own renders, and they're going to be awesome. And everyone else is going to use them. I'm like, that's what's going to happen. So for like, and I was working at like a new place. Yeah. I was working at like a new place at the time, like for my work life, and it was getting really stressful. But that didn't matter. I worked 40 hours a week. But I'm like, every day when I got home, I'm like, okay, new character, new pose, post and custom smash, get feedback, move on. See if Nanobuzz could give me some help, move on, you know? And so I did. I didn't do all the roster because I had some help. Because I had Kuro did some of them, and I think Sylv did some of them or something.
No, by that point, you were in XP, though. Because there was the whole, I'll work with you guys right after I get 1.3 out.
Exactly.
I want 1.3 to be this cool final thing
exactly.
that I can say I'm done with.
That it's HD and all this stuff. Yeah. And so then, like some of the XP people were like, hey, we'll help you out on this. So like, you know, Psycho helped me out. Yeah. Like a few other people helped me out too. So we have a complete HD CSS and SSS and 1.3. And then releasing that trailer was the first time I used Premiere Pro.
Oh boy.
And I was like, this is great. I love this. And there's a bunch of other little stories that aren't really relevant that maybe we'll tell at a different time. But yeah. So let's go on to first impressions. We gotta get through these question lists.
I think we already gave off the first impressions a little bit. Yeah. Because I would be lying if I said I completely remembered beyond the who the heck is this guy.
Well, I remember specifically liking like the comments you would make in the chat and feeling like you in particular were kind of a no-nonsense person that would just call stuff out, and I liked that. And then we had a voice chat. And I'm like, this guy sounds like a guy I want to talk to or whatever. And that was like my first impression of you. And I didn't really know what you did at first. But yeah, that's how it started. And then I realized you did stages. I'm like, oh, I make stages. And then I'll never forget this. I said, hey, let's do a voice chat. And you're like, okay, let's do it this weekend. And then you ditched me.
What? Like, I did?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes,
I don't even remember that.
I do, distinctly. And I was like, jeez. I want to get to know this guy, and he ditched me.
Brutal.
Yeah, it was.
If I ditched you in college, it was because I was depressed as heck. I was living in my bed for like a month.
Yeah.
That was early XP, so.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. What was your first reaction when PMDT shut down? We already explained that. What would have been your expectations on future Project M updates from ZugZug? I don't know. I mean, it's fairly obvious at this point what was planned.
Honestly, though, at the time, other than what was being posted by Tinker on the subreddit, like, you know, Awakening Roy, some new ZSS, that was it. I had no clue about the knowledge of what was already known about Knuckles and Isaac and whatnot. The fact that there was already that video that showed them all from like months ago from the stream or whatever. Like, because I had no real, I guess, not care, but I had at 0 point did I really delve into the community beyond the competitive community for PM. So, or the XP guys, but I didn't really have any idea of like what could be coming or what was coming. And frankly, I didn't care. Yeah. Like, My biggest regret is that I only ever knew that I was missing out on stuff after it was gone. Like, I feel like I might have been either, I don't know whether I would have been more okay with it or less okay with it if I'd known what was scrapped.
Right.
But at the time, it was kind of just like, oh. And then after the fact, I was like, oh, but not like, just like angry, but it was cool to see it And at least I'd never had any... Like, there was no hopes to crush, because it was already gone when I realized it was too late.
Oh my God.
So I had no expectation other than, wow, I hope they swap Bowser's Castle. Like, boy, do I hate that awful thwomp on the main slot.
How has Legacy changed over time? The original builds are into T and Legacy XP merged. Okay, so that's by Jacques. We already talked about how Legacy and XP merged a little bit, but just to kind of wrap up what we were talking about earlier, after 1.3 was finished, it's like, all right, let's take all the, now I realize, really stupid costumes I decided to put in 1.3. Not all of them were bad. Some of them actually made it over to XP and TE, actually. But some were truly awful. But, and I was like, we'll make those the costumes, and then we'll make all the XP stages in the build. And then something occurred to me. It's like, I was of the ilk of, we first, hackless first, accessibility first. And I quickly realized PMXP was not like that.
PMXP and Legacy XP are dolphin games.
Yeah, they are. I mean,
yeah,
you have to jump through some hurdles to get it working on Wii. And even then, it's like, I don't know. I would say it's less accessible. And so I quickly realized, like, I was trying to push this competitive viability, this quick and easy, flexible build with Legacy, and XP was just the opposite of that. It wasn't even close to the same vision. And I was kind of panicking about that because I'm like, well, I want both. I want to merge. I want to take advantage of the team, but I don't know what to do. And at this time, Brongo was like, he was in this team, and he was like, why don't you just make 2 builds? And I was like, okay. Yeah, and then this is my plan. This was my plan. All right, we can work on XP and TE at the same time.
Yeah, that happened. Not.
I'm so glad that didn't happen. Because my thought was, we make XP, and then after we decided kind of all the logistics of XP, I'd strip out all the stages from XP, get some streamlined version, and then that would be TE. And that would be like the hackless version of XP.
That was, I guess, what outside of your brain turned into people talking about the XP Lite.
Well, no, we talked about, in our reveal trailer, we mentioned an XP Lite.
In the reveal trailer?
Yeah, because the plan was we were going to make one for hackless. An XP hackless.
Well, XP is hackless.
It can be through Letter Bomb.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But that's not what we meant at the time.
Still.
And that's what we say now, but at the time, we didn't think that worked.
In reality, making a stripped out XP would never happen.
No.
It'd be way too much effort than it's worth.
Yeah, totally. Totally would be. Anyway, so that's kind of how, like, the idea of TE and XP happened. Like, I was well ready to make a 1.4. Like, from XP stuff. And at some point I'm like, why would I do that? Like, it should be 1 build and then bring it up 2 builds. And then that's the idea of TE. Is like, you know what? Like, and then I really started to understand that what makes a competitive build. And I realized it comes down to what costumes are viable to play and a certain set of stages. It wasn't even the competitive stages the PMDT had made. It was a set of stages
that the community
selected, right? And that's what got my head spinning. And I was like, and this idea too that Hyper and Super had this philosophy in XP about, yeah, hold Z to get an Omega form, hold L to get the legal one. Like, that's brilliant. Mm-hmm. Like, this allocation of a stage you can always count on based on the button combination. That's brilliant. Albeit, I'm not going to remember the left D-pad A combination, even though that is one.
That's left D-pad R.
Okay, my bad. Left D-pad R, which is Remake 2, or whatever it stands for. So that's kind of how it sparked. When did the idea for new characters in Legacy XP come to mind, and how and when did you choose those characters by Smash Mania? So kind of what Worse said earlier, like, there were some characters planned for PMXP, but it was, at least in the eyes of some, it was more of a placeholder for this developed version of Brawl X, which is code that lets you add characters for PM. So PMEX that Sakura and Piotr were working on. And so the idea is that they were kind of waiting on that. I think new characters would have been in PMXP if they were able.
Yeah.
But the technology wasn't there yet.
No.
So around the time that we merged together, it became available. So at that point, it was like, okay, who do we add to this thing? Like, what characters do we add? And I think the 3 melee vets were kind of a shoehorn in. It was like, we gotta have Pichu, Young Link.
Because they had the models already.
They had the models.
I distinctly remember the conversation of who has models, and we have PSA guys who can tweak bad PSAs.
Well, because we had the two guys that did Project M+, which added Pichu and Young Link to Project M. But I think it was for 3.02 or 3.5, and it wasn't for 3.6 or something. I don't remember exactly. But we had those guys as part of PMXP. So, I mean, do you know how we decided on the other characters?
Like Gino and Waluigi and everything like that? I have absolutely no idea. I mean, Waluigi was, I think, only a shoo-in because we had Mario King already.
Got it.
And originally, there was an idea to add Shadow because we had, who was that guy who had a Shadow over Wario?
Yeah, that's right.
Leon Exodia.
Yeah, Leon.
We had Leon in there for a while. And then...
because I added him. Because I was watching his tutorial videos. I was trying to get a Bayonetta character over Giga Bowser.
Oh, God.
It sounds so stupid now. Anyways.
But then... And then there was... the unfortunate thought to ever include the Project Ganondorf characters... because Bronze Greek Gob is in the chat.
That's right.
So, like, it was almost convenience of who's here already.
Yeah.
Who else isn't here, but we're close enough to that we can add. And whose models and PSAs are not Sora Goku tier, but they're not 100% awful. And where do those three categories kind of intersect?
Right.
And then, that's pretty much it. Because nothing else was probable.
Yeah.
That's how we got...
And Lone Devil's Metal Sonic was great. He was part of the team.
It was pretty much done at the time. I mean, bug fixes and some tweaks not included, but it when we got it to when it was released, when I got it originally, I was like, can we just ship with this? This is... It was probably then and still is in the beta my favorite PSA that we've got.
Really? Yeah, I think it was just a matter of, hey, we have this project going on. You guys are here. Would you guys want to contribute your content to this build? It was kind of like a group effort. That's kind of how it came.
And it was split a little between, I'm going to make this 4XP and, I'll let you guys use it.
Yeah, I kind of want to make this myself, and I don't mind you guys including it.
Exactly.
Kind of thing, how does it feel to be the leader of such a big mod, MarioDox? Okay, so, I would say that Hyper and I kind of co-led Legacy XP like beta, but since then I've decided not to lead that anymore. I want to focus a little bit more on TE. So really, the Worse and I are the co-leads of TE. So I can probably speak more to leading TE and what that's like. I don't know if we want to talk about that a little bit.
I mean, in terms of how it feels, it's kind of just like... It's a little underwhelming, I'd say. Only because we're so saturated in the fans that exist in the server, and that's kind of around 24/7. To the point where some of them have stopped being fans because they know better. But when it comes down to like seeing it at Evo, right? Like that's insane.
Yeah, that is cool.
Seeing its base being used at Olympus, seeing the trailer being used at Olympus, like that still blows my mind.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where it's insane. And I every time something new happens, it just keeps topping that feeling. But day to day, working on it, it's more just like, what can I show off? Not so much like, wow, I'm in a cool thing, and that's cool, and I'm so grateful. Because it's cool, but in the long scheme of things, I'd probably be doing the same stuff solo, just less motivated and slower.
Right. I think that's what it is. I mean, when you lead the project, it's not like you feel like, and especially like, at least for me, like being around and being aware of other modders that are like 10 times more talented than I am, I don't really feel like, I'm anything special. But when I do feel like I'm special, it's seeing, it's like what Worse said, it's seeing something you made and on someone else's console, or seeing some prominent figure in the community mentioning the thing you worked on. At that moment, it feels cool.
To this day, I will still lose my shit when I see any stage I've remotely released on any stream, any video whatsoever, and I've only seen it like twice from TE. Like nothing I've individually released has ever been shown anywhere. But to see like Marble Hill Zone in a combo video, or on a stream in like not friendlies, is still just like, and not casino picking it.
Yeah.
Is still just like, it's mind blowing.
It is. I mean, again, to be fair, we're only getting really a taste of what the PMDT must have felt when they worked on it.
Even imagine.
They pioneered it. They paved the way for this thing. This is totally their accomplishment, and we are lucky enough to participate in the sense that we get to make, a mod of it, right?
Yeah.
So we're only getting a sliver of it, and, really thanks to them for basically allowing us to participate in this way, really. And I'll have to say, too, it was so cool getting messaged by, because I'm kind of the PR guy for TE, too, and getting messaged by people saying, look, like, your mod is so cool. It's totally made me interested in Project M again. Like, I love all the unique content. I love all the tournament features or whatever. And getting people that are prominent, like competitive people, messaging you saying, "Hey, I want you to make a custom build for this and a custom build for that." Like that is so cool,
That is pretty neat.
And although half the time they're so complex, I have to be like, "Let me see who else can help you with that." It's still cool that they feel like they can reach out to me.
It's the thought that counts, but in reality, it's like, maybe we can talk to some other people too. Like,
well, it depends on the complexity. Sometimes it's really basic stuff, and then I love helping. Like, we're doing some videos on the Legacy channel that are some basic tutorials for just really, really simple stuff. Nothing that's complex, but just the idea that, Project M is in its final version, and it is not going to have to be updated. That means you can update and customize your build to however you want. And so here are some tools to do that. Here are some guidelines so you don't mess with gameplay. Those kind of things. That's what I'm really excited about. Because it is really fun to use these tools that other Brawl modders that are mind-blowingly brilliant have made. Yeah.
Literal geniuses.
And we can use them and do amazing things effortlessly now because of the work other people have done. It's astounding. So anyway, that's the kind of the long answer. But favorite unexpected problem and resulting workaround? Sundark.
Oh boy. Favorite has to be on, forgive me for getting the name wrong, Summit Castle?
Yeah, that's right.
Icicle Mountain Castle. I don't really remember what the Brawl stage name is.
Yeah.
But the icy cave on the summit slot that is a Bowser's Castle alt in TE. Mm-hmm. At some point, can't remember really what sparked it, but we put a model in like Model Data 101, which is where like the respawns are. Or no, we put it in 100, which is where the respawns are, because 101 is where the Pokemon trainer is. And somewhere or another, because the bone name was the same, every time a character spawned, even during the countdown, they would star KO instantly without moving. They'd still be at the respawn point, spinning, going, "Wah, ding," and disappear. And it was the dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And we should find that video and tweet it out, because that one is the best legacy bug I think I've ever seen. Second only to Snake's box.
Yeah.
Hitting DDD and just going
and the sound of DDD getting hurt or whatever.
Yeah,
like that just made it
so stupid.
That's been shared a lot too. It's just so funny.
I love that. And unfortunately, I don't know the workaround for either of those.
No.
I think the workaround for the respawn one was just don't touch that model data.
Yeah, different model data for sure.
And the other one, I don't know, because Super and Hyper fixed that one.
Yeah. And for me, like, it's really hard to pick one. But, the dumbest, in general with Brawl modding, and if you use Brawlbox and stuff, the dumbest things will fix problems. Like, re-importing something, or saving it again.
And reopening, yeah.
Yeah, or, modifying one thing, and then randomly changing a number and then changing it back so that it saves properly. Like, just weird stuff that.
With Brawlbox, prior to 7.7, I think even all the way up to 7.6b, there was the worst bug where if you moved a bone in the previewer, in the model previewer, and then saved and exited, even though the value was still there, and you could look in the data list and see the value for that bone, it wouldn't move in game. You had to go in and cut the value out of the data field, hit enter so it would show 0, save, paste the new value, and save again. Because for some reason it needed to be told this was this thing and now it's something else. And man, why that had to then be fixed eventually ever. Because now I don't even think about that, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But there was someone I was actually talking to the other day in Super's Brawl Stage Compendium who was saying, yeah, but you can't move models in the preview or it doesn't carry over. And I'm like, he's on 7.6. He hasn't used 7.7. He doesn't know that bug is fixed.
That's super funny. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah. Oh, here's an example. Okay. Here's a perfect answer to that question. I was just telling you about this. In 1.0, in Legacy 1.0, 1.1, and 1.2, I would always get this bug report of, hey, I accidentally hit Z on the pause to take a snapshot. I didn't mean to, but the game crashes. I was like, what? Like, I didn't do anything to, like, the snapshot stuff. So, like, over time, I tested it myself, and sure enough, you hit Z, and it crashes. It crashes on Dolphin, it crashes on Wii. It's like, what could that possibly be? So one day, I just got frustrated, and I put vanilla Project M there. Oh, no. That's right. I had my Legacy build, and one by one, I switched the folders to VPM ones. And it got down to Info 2. Like, so it's something in Info 2. So then I found it was Info.pack. I'm like, there's something in there. And then I tried different textures. The reason it crashed was because I had replaced the sudden death text with custom sudden death text. I replaced a texture and taking snapshots crashed.
That's fantastic.
Like,
that sums up brawl modding in the best sense.
That is the dumbest workaround to a problem ever. Is you replaced a texture you shouldn't have, and so something completely unrelated crashes. Like, what? Like, you couldn't have paid me to guess what the problem would have been.
Realistically, if I had to guess, I bet there's some texture in the snapshot field that's in that same info too.
Yeah,
I guess. Somehow you had a corrupted... I'm sure if you tried to load sudden death, it would crash as well.
No, it didn't.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well then...
Because after that, I'm like, okay, I had the same thought. I'm like, okay, well, certainly sudden death would have crashed. I tried it, it didn't. It appeared normally.
That's like when Hyper and Stricker were they were testing, and Codes I think was there too. They were trying to get bigger than 4 gig cards working on Wii, and without SDHC, obviously.
Right.
And it was loading, and they're like, it's loading, but it's breaking almost arbitrarily, depending on where you go in the menu first. And it turns out it was the first 4 gigabytes loaded would work. But anything after that wouldn't load. So depending on where you went, if you went to SSE, the first 4 gigs of SSE-related data will go in, and everything compounding after that. But as soon as that meter hit, you've loaded 4 gigs of data, the game would just go, nope, that content isn't there, hard crash.
Wow.
It was bizarre. Because it wasn't even 4 gigs, like, sequentially. It was just what got loaded by Dolphin.
Right.
It was bizarre.
That
I have no idea if the same issue happened on Wii, but on Dolphin, they were banging their heads against the wall going, why is it doing that? Until they went, hey, that's weird. It's only loading as far as I get into this 4 gigabyte mess.
Wow.
It was
I never heard
ridiculous.
About that. Let's see. When is Legacy TE David Edition the easy way coming out? That's HandheldGamer.
That comes out tonight at midnight. It doesn't matter when you're listening to this. It's this night that you're listening to it. The night that you're listening, it's out. That's at midnight.
Well, and all
go to your local Best Buys.
I do want to make a custom build because I want to, like, you know how when Microsoft released the Surface Pro, they're like, this is what a laptop should be. Everyone else should make one like this. I want to release a custom TE build that's like, yeah, this is what I did. I want you guys to make your own custom TE builds. That's what I want to do.
It's like, I already made TE, but I could also make what you should be doing with TE.
Yeah, exactly. and we may or may not, hint, spoiler, teaser, be making some tools that will help you do that a little bit easier. So, yeah, look forward to that. Maybe by this time it'll already be out. We'll see.
Who knows?
What was the hardest thing to implement create for your mods?
Oh boy. Animated material colors. Color nodes. To get the freaking animated color transparency in a material. To get the tube, the stupid tube in Legacy FD. That laser tube around the thing. To get that to change from transparency, not to transparency. The ANMVS or whatever thing for No, it was still A&M CLR, because there is no Viz Zeros for stages. To get that transparency to animate, I dug through, I think, every single piece of tutorial Theta had ever given out. At some point, I DM'd him and went, what am I doing wrong? It doesn't work. He's like, just look at my 64 FD remake. It's got exactly what you're looking for. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I just copied it and I went, oh, that was easy. But I was like trying to reinvent the wheel for like 2 weeks straight on that thing. And it was awful. It was awful. And Super was like, God. I can't help you. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh. Super when you need him, man. I tell you.
Yep.
Hardest thing to implement. I have to say, for me anyway,
sudden death text.
Yeah, toughest part. No, I mean, I think honestly the renders were tough because you had to find a pose that was good. You had to find a pose that was the character, and you had to find a pose people liked. And those three things was really tough. And I think, there are some poses though that could use work. But by and large, I think they're very good. I'm very proud of the ones that I've done. But it was tough because it takes a very long time to do that whole pose thing.
Oh gosh.
And then after you do that, assuming Brawlbox doesn't destroy your animation for some reason, as it sometimes does. Then when you import into 3ds Max, sometimes if you have a character with a cape or Ivysaur's leaves, they're dual layers. You have to delete half the ones or else it renders all weird.
Kirby's face being forever. Double on the body, and I hate so much.
And I have to say, it was a lot of learning and it was a lot of just tedium. So I don't know about difficult. It was a lot of learning about how models worked and why every Brawl model has this weird shininess to it that's it's on everything for some reason, and that was when that was done, I felt like I'd really accomplished something. I don't know. I think that was probably the toughest one. Let's see, hold on. What is your favorite Smash modding project you've done? This is Orinana. I hope I was saying your name right. You also go by Bean, so that's easier to say. Favorite Smash modding project I've worked on is definitely Legacy TE.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked on 3, 2.5, so obviously that one wins.
Yeah. Just because, you can answer, but for me, it's the build I always wanted to play, where I just felt like it's really, really focused, has a really specific goal. It has a specific target audience and a specific purpose. And it's something you can really work towards. And, it was really fun to blue sky it and say, what if we had to build every single stage at 3 alts? Staralt always did this one thing, and then every character had 10 costumes. Let's just make that the baseline. There are these certain features that we want. Just thinking of this, and then having it become a reality was so cool, because there's nothing else like it. And I'm so surprised to this day that no one really seriously tried to tackle a tournament Project M build. No one had done it. And then all the people that wanted to help on this thing was so rewarding. The team is so close and tight knit, and we all I don't know. There's this camaraderie that I've never really experienced before with the TE team that I really enjoy.
Yeah, it's funny because I was always excited for the idea of the competitive viability, because I'm still an idealist, and I still think, competitive, that's fun. I wish I could do that. But I'd have to then, sell everything I own and live in a box to have that amount of time. But when it came down to it, it wasn't XP, in the sense that as much as I could probably have devoted infinite time to XP stage development, it was, like you said, there was no purpose. It was almost too vague. We hit a point in XP dev right after the beta release where moving forward was just so cloudy. It was we know we have to fix stuff, and we've got all this content we love to add, but what do I do? Super, give me something to do. And he's like, oh, I don't know, fix stuff? I don't know. So it wasn't really until TE started that I went, wow, yeah, I can I can just sit down and make a stage, and 9 times out of 10 we'll add it, because why not? It's competitive, and it fits this theme that we're trying to follow. With XP, there was never really anything. It was almost like being told, go, create, and I was like, but I don't know what to do, and no one's telling me.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like, yeah, it was focused. It was focused and clear. XP's now kind of at least directed, but not, I wouldn't say it's focused in any sense of the word.
Yeah, it's tough when your goal is,
When your goal is everything, and everything has to be good,
yeah,
it's hard to say, all right, so do this exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And just, yeah, I'm so happy with how the release went, the community involvement, the community adoption. Everything about T has been rewarding.
It's been fantastic.
And I still want to work on it, and there's been virtually no internal drama at all,
Except for Puzzled and Spear Pillar. If you're hearing this, Puzzled, how dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you?
But, it's like, what, there's 12 of us, or it's kind of growing. We have like 15 now, but...
Yeah, the benefit was, and still is, that everyone, for the most part, is on board with the direction.
Exactly.
And I remember with you describing the initial plan to me, it was really, if there's anyone that either of us aren't okay with in terms of direction, they're gone. Mm-hmm. Because the biggest thing is that we're just comfortable working on this. The biggest thing is to be like, hey, no stress. After XP, we don't need stress. We don't need this weird cacophony of agony that was dealing with people that we probably shouldn't have had to work with in the first place. So it was nice to kind of pick and choose, like, the all-star cast, and be like, hey, you're actually good, and you kind of agree with what we think should be in this build.
Totally.
So you're in.
If you don't have vision buy-in from your team members, they have no business being there.
Absolutely.
And, that's, from the beginning, it's like, you in, or, or what? Do you think this is great? Awesome. Let's make this together. Anyway. Let's see. How is Legacy XP at the moment, and where the frick is Pepisman? That is Darquezze.
Legacy XP at the moment is still in development. It is not dead. It is going to come out eventually. And I don't mean that in the meme sense that we don't know, but we don't know. I don't want to say this is the only reason, but we were waiting on Piotr. We were waiting on Smash 2, which as of this release is probably out.
Yeah.
And realistically, things have in the last few weeks, at least not necessarily, I don't want to say picked up completely again from the slow crawl that was the continuous development, but they've definitely, everyone's kind of looked up and gone, oh yeah, look, all the excuses we had are kind of disappearing, so I guess maybe I'll work on this again. Because I don't want to really shit on anybody, but the truth is that there is not a lot of vision buy-in for XP. Mm-hmm. And only because I feel like a lot of the people developing a lot of the content, I have to pick and choose what I say because I don't want to leak everything. A lot of the content are kind of dedicated to that content and seeing it released anywhere, which just happens to be in LXP.
Right.
Which isn't a bad thing, because in the long run, they're still developing that content. Yeah. But its downside is that they're not really feeling any sense of urgency or dedication to go, hey, let's work with everybody, and let's work with the people in control, and let's work with the people trying to get information out. And when that happens, you get this almost seemingly deadness, because no one knows what to say.
Right. No
one knows what we're allowed to say. No one knows what we're allowed to tease. No one knows what we're allowed to work on.
Right.
And then you have renders being redone ad infinitum. Irrelevant. But the good thing is it's gonna come out.
Yeah.
It's gonna come out relatively soon. I can safely say it won't be another entire year.
Is that safe to say?
I think that is almost safe to say. And I say that in the sense that I will be counting to 364 days from the moment this comes out. But it's not dead. No. And it's not in development.
Yeah.
It's just been in slow kind of churning limbo for no one's fault but the developers.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, there's a finite pool of people that have the talents that any Smash mod needs. So, I mean, put your brains together. There's a Smash mod in development. Maybe another one's not getting the attention that it needs, or, you know. I'm not saying that's always true. Brawl Minus has kind of always been going on, despite
Brawl Minus has always kind of been its own thing.
Yeah, it's definitely its own thing.
To this day, Super will introduce me to some guy from Minus in the stage server, and I'm like, I've never heard of this person because they stayed in their little Minus ecosystem.
Yeah.
Same with 3.
Yeah.
3, I didn't really know anybody from there either.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely some interconnectivity, and it's like, you know, and there's certain skills, let's face it, that are more sought after and more scarce and more valuable than there are other ones.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, it's funny because the PSA guys have pretty much been at Smash 2. And the Codes guys have still pretty much been at XP. Like, in the dev server, the channel for coding, I don't think is ever dead. It's always just Codes and Chase and that dude who was making the other thing, whose name I forgot already, and a bunch of other code people that I don't know your names because I don't know you, because you're all too smart for me. But they're just constantly going up and talking about random stuff because they just know how to dump with codes. And XP is probably the most code-hungry build at the moment.
Yeah.
Whereas the people that can touch characters were working on the thing that was designed to overhaul pretty much every character to be more like Melee. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing because they, like you said, there's finite people and there's finite time. And I can almost see, vaguely to make an excuse for them, is that if I were them, I would look at Smash 2 and say it has more of a definitive end.
As a focus, as a goal.
Once it hits Melee, they're done.
Right.
XP is just this advocate for continuous everything because why not? Yeah. That's what Hyper wants.
What's so funny, though, to me at least, is that, at least from an outsider perspective, from like a, I guess you could say consumer perspective, for lack of a better word, XP seems to be the one that people care about the most.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
But I think it's only because the competitive community has such a hard time fully endorsing custom builds.
Right.
Because, and I forgot, I think it was Mango, or no, it was Hungrybox, who was kind of shitting on custom Melee builds at some point about always sees these awful costumes and garbage recolors and why would I ever touch that? And I don't blame the competitive community for saying that because 90% of the builds out there are precisely that.
They're your legacy point 2 or point 1 builds. Yeah.
And when you, or you know, you'd say it's competitive, but all that means is Green Hill Zone is blue.
Yeah.
No one cares. But when you get down to something like XP, it's such a jump from the norm that the casual community eats it up. And those are the people responding on Twitter and watching the YouTube videos from all these YouTubers who somehow just play Smash and get views. And it's ridiculous. TE gets kind of close with the hype only because we throw it in so many hyped situations like tournaments. But it's both funny and painful. The countless comments on TE, everything. Every upload about TE has some token comment of, yeah, but when's XP though?
I like XP because I think the biggest draw is just the new characters. I think people just like new characters. I think that's why like the new characters and the leaks are so taboo.
If ALM's build has taught us anything, it's that people will play any new character, even if it's awful. Not to say that that's badly reflecting on ALM, but boy, do those characters have no business being in the same build with VPM's amazing movesets. So I always held in my mind the regard really being behind the polish and the consistency that the XP's character devs aimed for.
Well, and the presentation, like, I mean, the song, the piece of music that Seikara came up with for the trailer.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Is so good. Like, that's a whole story in and of itself, is working with that guy and how he got that legacy trailer, or that legacy menu music. He got like the XP reveal trailer, the TE reveal trailer, and he made that beautiful Project M like dedication song.
Oh, I love that song.
That's how I found him. Anyway, and that was fun. And then the whole working with Dean Harrington for the voice clips was so cool for XP. There's so many little stories we'd say. But we're kind of running out of time, and we need to get to the rest of these questions. As someone who is interested in making their own mod of Brawl, what is the best place to start? Also, what are your inspirations? That is ThePsyShyster on Twitter.
I can't help you. I stopped remembering how to customize Brawl as soon as I realized stages were fun.
Where to start with modding Brawl? I would say utilize KCMM. Download the partition, the Brawl partition, and start opening files and figuring out what they are. Try replacing textures. Try like messing with some simple stuff. And I'll look up tutorials. Like say, I want to add a character. How do I do that?
Join the Custom Smash Discord.
Yep, join the Custom Smash one.
People there like myself are always eager to jump on a question and say, yes, person that wants to learn the stuff that no one seems to want to learn.
Yep.
Here, learn this.
Or just really basic stuff. I can't say not everyone will treat you nicely when you ask simple questions. But some people will encourage the new blood and answer any questions. So don't feel like you're asking a dumb question. Because you got to start somewhere. Also, what are your inspirations? My inspirations personally are SOJ from the former PMDT. How do I say this? He was like, once I learned what his role was in the PMDT, I'm like, I aspire to be like SOJ. I want to be like one of the kind of lead guys. I want to make all the really hyped trailers that people watch over and over. You know, I want to have like a sense of direction. I want to dabble in everything. You know, I want some stage stuff, some costume stuff, some code stuff. Like I want that kind of jack of all trades expertise that SOJ really nails. And just like his community involvement, how much he cares about the projects he works on. So I've safe to nail it down. I think SOJ is one of my biggest inspirations, just in terms of modding.
Yeah, for me it was definitely like anyone who'd made any kind of custom stage in the DT, like Sandfall, Llama Juice. It was looking at these amazing stages and going, what, like, you can do stuff that isn't just like edits in Brawl Box. Like you can make a complete remodel of Metal Cavern. You can completely design this Bowser's Castle stage from scratch and have it look fantastic. Like that still blows my mind. The things they were able to get done. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, there are people who like the guy that made Beachville. Oh my God. Beachville was made before we could import models. That giant umbrella is Peach's umbrella. Like, stuff like that is ridiculous that he could make something look so different from the base, be so amazing looking, and then yet somehow still be impossibly broken and impossible to edit in the year 2017. But that kind of, like, ingenuity just, it blows my mind. Huh. It really got me into this mindset of, like, wow, what they can do it, why can't I? Which has always bothered me, that if the DT was still around now and I could do what I could do now, man, I would have applied so fast. Yeah. Because to do the modeling for stages that I do and be able to do that for something real would have been just fantastic. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. What stuff do you have in store for the future? That's what Nezha asks.
I think individually rather than for the build. I have a giant to-do list. I have a giant stage to-do list. I have that Superstar Saga Valletta's Castle thing. I've got the complete 3D remodel of Congo Jungle. I've got Week, I guess. Me and Super and Nez want to make a Bowser's Castle out of the NES design, but then also add the axe at the end where you hit it,
that's cool.
And at the bottom drops and like platforms come up, so it's like just platforms and no floor with a lava hazard.
That's cool.
I've got that Mario Party 2 stage with the mushrooms you gotta run around on that go up and down that didn't work when me and Super tried to get it working, but it'll happen eventually.
A bunch of future secret stages.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff for TE that is still in the works.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. Not much beyond that. Like, I've got a Rivals of Aether stage in 3D that I've had sitting on my hard drive forever. Got that Chibi Robo stage.
Yeah.
That I still have to remodel completely because it's way too high powered.
You've been sitting on that for a long time.
Well, the truth is, that and my custom Robo Basic Arena stage are my dream stages. And they need to happen eventually. But I refuse to do them until I am comfortable I'm good enough to do it.
You can do them right.
Like, stuff that I've released, not that I'm not proud of it, and not that I don't think it wasn't my best work at the time, but I know I can do better, and I know that I just need to learn more about the tool that I'm using. To the point where it's like, I could sit down, not today because I'm in Seattle, on Monday when I get home, I could just sit down and crank out those 2 stages again. But I would always be annoyed that they weren't my, like, de facto, this, like, if I could release custom Robo stage and be done with brawl modding, that'd be it, because that's my magnum opus. That is almost my favorite GameCube game, my favorite idea I've ever had for a stage, that's and awesome. my is the only reason I even started learning 3ds Max.
Really?
I decided to make that stage in Brawlbox only using Stage Builder nature blocks. God help me and have mercy on my soul for that horrible sin. But it was when I realized that I had this huge list and was like, eventually I'm going to finish it. But it's not today, and it's probably not even this year. But it's just, and I don't want to be the guy that just makes a 3D environment, puts it on DVR and goes, look what I made, it's a render. It's like, no one cares. It looks neat, but no one cares. If no one's playing on it, who knows? It might not even be for Brawl. If it comes out for Smash 4, because at that point we've got basic PM in Smash 4 and CEWL is better and NetPlay exists. Like, if that's the market it has to come out in because that's just how long I have to wait, then that'll be it.
Got it.
For now, I've got, and not to plug the server too much, but if you do go to the custom content server, the custom content channel on TE's server, I do have my to-do list pinned. Ooh. If you care to look at it. It's long and some things are censored because they're weeks.
I love it. Yeah, and also that reminds me, we're getting categories, so we're going to start...
if you're listening to this and categories aren't out yet, just join the Canary build for Discord, because categories are great.
Long-term, categories will be out in Discord soon. Anyway, we're going to revamp that server and get, like, blocks of custom stuff. I'm so excited about that. Okay, so my stuff for the future, I have some specific stuff and some stuff I'm not sure about. Namely, I want to get videos out about custom project and modding so Joe Blow can do it. Because the current tutorials are in 240p and they're in text documents and they're hard to follow. So I want to make good tutorials that you guys can follow. Like, so that you guys can customize your stuff.
All the most respect to Wacka Alpaca and his YouTube series on using Brawlbox, but come on, like, we need something relevant that isn't unregistered hypercam too.
Yeah.
You know,
and really, I want to do this for a long time, but I've never felt that I have the authority to make tutorials because I'm not the best person, and I still don't feel like that. But at some point, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to show you guys what I do, and you guys can say that's the wrong way to do it or whatever. I just want to share how I do things and to hopefully help somebody else. So that's one of my goals. My other goal is continue to make TE really great and make it something that the community uses and wants. That's something I'm always about. If you guys have ideas or thoughts, like, join our Discord server, share your thoughts. Like, we're super hyper interested, whether it's a new feature or new stages or new costumes or whatever. Like, just bring it on. The other one is I want to make a custom TE build because I want to just play in the sandbox. That is all the new tools we have and a custom TE build with dedicated stage slots and all the new stuff that I've learned and all the custom codes that we have and all that. And the last really big thing I want to do before I quit brawl modding, whenever I do that, is I want to release all of the poses for all the renders I have made. I want to recreate all the ones that are in TE that are ones that I did not make. I want to create a scene in Blender that's a free program like 3ds Max so that anybody can render any costume they want from Brawl Vault or wherever else. They can add to their own build, so all of their cosmetics for portraits and battle portraits and all that are completely seamless and everything works. So it's completely open for everybody. So anybody can make a custom build and it would all look matching and work for HD and all that. That's my dream, is I want to leave Brawl modding with a set of resources that build upon all the other resources all the other really good modders made. And just make it so anyone can do that. That's what I want to do. How much has Smash modding evolved over the years by Adam? I'm not really the authority on that. I'm new to modding. I've only started in 2014.
Yeah.
From what I can tell, it's changed a lot.
Even in our little microverse of understanding, like, it's changed, but it's changed in the sense that it's almost become more stable. Like, the volatility of wow, we can expand Brawl and do all this crazy stuff has kind of ended. And now it's more this like plateau of, all right, let's make content for this insane, basically kind of engine that we've made Brawl into.
Yeah.
And the one thing that has never changed is that Brawlbox still breaks everything when it updates.
But thank you to the creator of Brawlbox for continuing to
thank
update
you,
it anyways.
Please, but why did you make 7.8? Why did you do it?
Yeah, Worse got mad at me because I was using it earlier today.
It's so bad.
What is the toughest part of XP to develop? In my opinion, when I helped co-lead it, it was the people working on it that were the toughest to deal with.
Yeah, the hardest part of XP was the team.
It was. I mean, and honestly, for reasons we mentioned earlier of just divided incentive, like lack of focus, and just they had different focuses. They wanted to work on their own stuff more than the project. They weren't fan of someone shouting deadlines at them. Like, I get that, but it was so hard to get that project moving. And so I'm very glad I don't do that anymore. And I do not envy the people that have to do that right now. What would you say is the toughest part? Would you agree?
From a certain point, yes. Now, though, I'd say the hardest thing about XP's development is just knowing when to stop. Mm-hmm. Which, thankfully, in TE, we don't really have that problem. Just because, even with 1.1, we almost had that problem. Like, not to point him out individually, but I don't mean it in a negative sense. There was a point where we were deciding what needed to go into 1.1 and why it couldn't just be part of 2.0 and why stop at all and let's just keep going forever. And Johan was like, I don't get the almost arbitrary defining point. And to be fair, it is completely arbitrary. It was arbitrary to say mostly, bug fixes and some new content and moving stuff around, as opposed to all the new content we pretty much almost had done and could have waited a few more weeks to do for 2.0. But we traded that off for more polish, which you'll have when we get it.
Yeah.
But for XP, it Hyper in his infinite desire to, why stop? Like, keep going. Like, why would we ever stop? Which is great, but you need
boundaries.
You need to make a pause. Otherwise, you wind up with a year of beta development. But, I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah, that's well said. If you could describe XP and T individually in one word, what would it be? I would say for XP, it's like XP is tough to pin down. TE, I would say tournament, because that's what it is, or competitive, or something like that. XP is like not experience. That's not the right word, but like I don't know. Well, I mean,
for XP, I would say. And for TE, I would say, huh.
Oh, so huh.
Yeah.
Got it. That's good to know. Do you guys plan on adding Project Ganondorf?
The meme. It needs to end. We thought it would work. It looked like such a good idea. And then it didn't. Because it wasn't, not only did it not that it didn't wholesale, but the way that Bronze Greek God made it was very much in a selfish, not to him, but to the moveset manner. Like, it uses things that other things might need, and it doesn't really seem to play by the rules of projectiles need to be real projectiles, not just a magic hitbox that leaves the character. Like, stuff that should have met compliance but didn't. And as a result, has kind of doomed it to never being fully added without being fully recreated, which we are never going to do.
Right.
So you might not get all of Project Ganondorf. You're going to get the parts we could get working, if anything.
Yeah.
So you're welcome.
I think the big lesson to take away from this is this was sort of my bad, in a sense.
Wait. The big lesson to take away from this, you, Mr. Kimball over there, is maybe don't put stuff in trailers that we're not 100% certain will work yet.
Yeah.
And to your credit, you have said that to everyone. In the XP Dev Chat, we have a channel about PR. And what should we post, and when should we post it, and what should it include? And the biggest thing that David always says is, that's great if you want me to post that thing, but are you certain it's going to be in the next release? Or can you guarantee that is the final product that we'll be showing off? Because otherwise, you get 12 months of people asking, well, where's Project Ganondorf?
Exactly. And I'm going to be honest, the reason why that happened is because when I did Legacy by myself, it was like, if I'm teasing this thing, I'm committing myself.
Yeah, because
I'm like, I'm putting that.
Exactly.
I'm putting that as a thing. But when you're in the hype of the moment and you're with a team, and it's like, oh yeah, let's tease this thing. Yeah, we'll totally have it in the next build. Awesome.
Yeah,
then you're like, oh yeah, and then it's a month later, and like, well, actually, we looked at it again, and I don't think it's gonna work. That it
was a pretty naive mindset for everyone involved.
Yeah,
because it's not like you're the only one.
Yeah.
Everyone on the team kind of knows teasing Ganondorf was a bad idea.
Right. But at the time, it was like, that's kick-ass. Like,
yeah, why wouldn't
tease it? Like, tease retro mode, and like, that's not even done yet.
Retro mode. It'll happen eventually. Yeah. TM.
Yeah. It's just like XP. Like,
it's just a matter of time.
Except it has a focus and a goal. But
except time is also infinite.
Well, yeah. Okay, I think those are all the questions that we have. Oh, wait, there's one more that Ray J posted.
Ray J asks, and this is by far the dumbest question.
No offense.
Full offense. If you guys were to combine a facial feature with a name of a stage, what would it be? And my answer is Pizza FD.
Mine's Pizza FD. How's a facial feature involved in that?
Just is.
Okay. Mine would be Earfield.
Earfield. I want to change mine.
It's like a battlefield, but like the platforms are just sideways ears.
Oh, really? You wouldn't... Okay. See, no, I would... You know what?
What?
This all goes back to Johan's Fountain Bow edit.
Okay.
Of your head on each of the fish as they jumped over.
That's so stupid.
It's the best edit.
I hate it.
If you're listening to this and you like David V. Kimball, you're in the right place.
Oh, jeez. No.
Facial feature with a stage?
Yeah.
Man, Earfield's pretty good. I'm jealous. You took Earfield. Maybe,
I saw it in like 2 seconds, man.
Maybe, Noseland. So it's Dreamland, but Wispy is a giant nose.
And just blowing.
And it's just blowing out the nose. Let's get on this, Nez. Come on, let's go. Noseland. Let's do it. Gosh. But it's got to be one word, not 2 words.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And the L has to be non-capital.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. Noseland, all one word. All right, so I think that conducts the little talk, I guess. Thank you, everyone, for submitting your questions. I hope our answers were satisfactory, and I hope that everyone got a little update into kind of what we're working on and kind of like the history behind some of the builds that we work on. And if you all are interested in the legacy builds or brawl modding yourself, like reach out to us on Discord. We'll be happy to like point you in the right direction because this community is pretty cool and we have fun with it. So, is there anything else you want to say before we sign off?
If you live on Long Island, hit me up. I want to meet more real people.
Awesome. Cool.
That's about it.
All right. Well, until next time, guys. Catch you later.
Bye.